Hello, everyone. Happy Friday evening. Welcome. This is a novelty here. I don't stream enough, period. But a night sprint. I'm on deadline, and if I didn't do this, I wouldn't work, and I can't lose a day of productivity. So Miranda is joining me. Thank you, Miranda. PT fam. We're the
Yes,
only people working at this time, apparently.
I guess.
Or it's
Ugh.
really late if you're on the East Coast. It's really late if you're in the UK. Go to bed. And then
Or
the
good
Aussies and
morning.
Kiwis. This is finally a stream at a convenient time. So,
Exciting. So happy for them.
as always, Miranda, introduce yourself.
I'm Miranda. I have a channel. I'm currently working on a YA thriller. I feel weird calling it a thriller. During my reread, I'm like, it's not that thrilling. Maybe it seems less thrilling to me, but I don't know. It's not that thrilling. So,
It can be a suspense.
um, yeah. And I'm big on the self-deprecation. Clearly, I'm like, it's not that thrilling. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. I finished my read through, so now today I'm going to be going through and just doing like little tiny changes. I let myself make notes of things that would take me less than like 5 seconds to fix.
Nice.
Anything else can wait for now.
Nice. I am panicking. It's fine. I moved on to line editing, so I finished the theoretical, technical, developmental edit pass,
That's
and I
good.
sent I sent the rest of the book to my editor, but she had been line editing the first third, like ships passing in the night. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently line editing, which is all of that really annoying, like you've used this word 4 times in the manuscript stuff, as well as you know she track changes like places where like I'm redundant or I'm starting words with conjunctions too often, and that part's easy. It's like just like accept or reject the changes. Anyway, I have to be done with this book in 2 weeks, like completely done.
Wow,
So it's
that
yeah,
sounds
it's
stressful.
horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying because that means that more or less what I'm working on, like I can make some changes, but is what people will read.
Mm, that's wild.
I, I just don't feel like I have enough distance from the manuscript. It's fine. We're fine. Anyway, it's interesting.
Jeez.
But
I've
I mean, I guess the fascinating thing about publishing is you don't always end up with an ideal timeline, and some books get written and edited fast. So yeah, fast. And my books are going to be 18 months apart. I'm not even fast.
well, it's different. These 1 year people, you got a day
I
job,
don't know how they do
like
it.
yeah,
I
I don't
don't.
either.
I'm just. It's impressive. Um. Yeah. So let's dive right in. Although, actually, let's not. You talk about something interesting while I find a timer.
Okay.
Oh yes, in
Um
the chat, go subscribe to Miranda while she talks for a second.
Thank you guys. That's so nice. Yeah, I gave you have like an actual deadline. I've given myself a deadline. I had to like manufacture a deadline for myself. So, like CPs and betas have seen my query, like my little blurb that I have, so they have an idea of everything. And I'm like, I can't keep them waiting too long, so I need to like some stuff at some point soon. So, that's my like self-imposed deadline that I was like, I need to move this along a little bit. That's what
I love
I
it.
that's what I did. I don't know.
It's whatever works, honestly. I believe
Yeah,
in you.
and I don't know if it's gonna work yet.
Oh, and
We'll see.
also, I do have wine. This is an Alexa first because I have never streamed this late at night, and it has always seemed inappropriate to drink on streams during the day. And if you're underaged, drink don't drink responsibly. I mean, don't drink. I hope I'm not setting a poor example, but I do occasionally enjoy a glass of wine. So
I am not a big wine person, which I feel like is such a disappointment to like my mom. My mom works in wine, so I'm like,
okay, that
sorry,
is
just not my
disappointing.
thing.
Also, does she have a hookup? Like,
Yeah, maybe. Um, so I'm so I'm drinking water. It's fine.
well, I do also have a water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like low key obsessive with drinking water. I drink at least a full Brita pitcher a day, if not like a pitcher and a half, because I just suck down water at all times. So
It's the one like healthy thing I can like actually do.
yeah, I've just always done it. As a
Yeah, I
kid, I
can't
didn't
like
like milk.
regularly work out, but I can like drink
Yeah.
enough water. That's the one I can do.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna work. Oh, that
Hmm.
actually cracked. Okay. Um. All right. And in the chat, if you want to say what you're working on, we can do like little chat interludes of chatting or answering questions like usual, but hopefully I'll
Hmm.
be reasonably disciplined and actually do the point as often as possible. I'm pulling up the timer. We're gonna do it.
This is not bad for like how long it takes to jump into a sprint.
No, for me this is really good.
Yeah, this is not bad.
So yeah. Yeah. Oh, someone has coffee. Is it a late night coffee or are you in a time zone where it is appropriate to drink coffee? Is the question. No judgment. I would drink coffee at night if it didn't keep me up.
I'm kind of jealous of those people who can, like those people who can have an
Yeah.
after dinner coffee, because I would be up until 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. I had one day, it was a writing day the other month where I had coffee at home and then two giant cold brews. The sheer amount of, yeah, exactly. The sheer amount of caffeine in my body was concerning medically. Um, and it wasn't that I was up late, but well, I was up until about 3 in the morning, and then I slept poorly. So it was just a nice double whammy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, great, just ruining myself because, well, it's just like I can't go to a coffee shop and not drink cold brew. It's like this
Hmm.
thing I have. It's a
It feels
problem.
illegal.
Feels wrong, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like especially in LA, like this is such like a hipster thing to say, but we have really good cold brew.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. Anyway,
It's people do a good job. So
all right.
you had to have your capitalism juice. It had to happen. So
Well, because my thinking is like at least, and this is such a first world like super privileged thing to say, and just represents a shift in my circumstances because I literally didn't have the money years ago. Um, I think of it as like if I go to a cafe here, I get a nibble and a drink. I spend
mhm.
between $15 and $20, and then I've earned my butt and chair time for 4 to 5 hours, meaning I'm monopolizing a table for 3 or 4 hours as long as it's not crowded. Like I'm not a total dick. I will leave, and I'm like I have paid for my time, and so they
You have.
feel comfortable. Yeah, it just feels appropriate because there are plenty of people in LA, they're getting ice waters and not buying anything, which is also okay. But
Hmm.
I feel it's like introvert anxiety. Like I feel like
That's true.
they're watching me if they
Hmm.
don't feel I've spent enough money. Is that terrible? Anyway.
No, I think that's like that's so normal. And I
Yeah.
think if you've also like ever had a service job, like maybe there have been times when you've like looked at that person and been like, wow, you've been sitting there a while.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think that's fine. When I was, in worse circumstances, my trick was there were places you can get like a cup of tea, but they'll bring you an actual like pot of tea. And then you can
That's
have,
good.
3 or 4 cups, but
Mm,
you're only spending a couple dollars because it's tea. You're paying for hot water.
that's
That's the trick.
I support that. I
Yeah.
support that. Yeah.
And then you have like, there's a beverage in your cup, and you're like, there's something there still, so I'm here.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably spread.
Anyway, we should probably sprint.
We
Okay.
were like, we're doing so well, and
We're
then
doing
it just.
so well, and then it's 8 minutes and 45 seconds later. Okay.
Mhm.
Everyone ready? And sprint. And we're done.
Yay, we did it.
Yeah, I will not ding-a-ling loudly like Laura, which would make me jump every time.
Yeah, it's like it's never a gentle like way to come out of a
Right?
sprint.
How did everyone do? How did you do?
I I did fine. I got through quite a few like little things, which is good. You know, they're 5 second changes. I should hypothetically have gotten through a lot of them.
That's how
I
line
feel like
editing is. Yeah.
every time I come out of one of these sprints, I'm like, wow, I realize that I have another crutch word. Like every time I notice another one.
Oh,
The
does
one I
anyone want
noticed,
my list?
maybe, but the one I noticed today is okay.
That's a good one.
People
I
say
use that one a lot
okay
too. I use the
all the
okay
time.
and yeah a lot.
Oh my god,
But
it's
meaning like
just
I can share the literal official list that my editor included at the start of my
ooh.
manuscript as things I have to look for. She does this every time. It's great.
I like
Called
that. You can
out.
just control F. Like it's helpful.
Well, yeah, I do that with some of them, but some of them like it's real bad. So mine are feels like filtering. Whoops. Awkward a lot where someone is describing someone and it starts she's dot 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 a lot. Apparently I did that a lot.
Mhm.
People who wave, aping, so like mirroring someone's behavior for some reason I use that a lot, or
Oh,
maybe it just stood out to her. Flagging someone down to like a table, smiles and smiling. That's a classic. I have a serious problem with that. Um, Laughing is
is
not on this
looks
list,
on
but
there?
should be.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Interesting, she flagged craftsman, and I might simply have to point out it's California.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, craftsmen are great. I wish I could afford a craftsman. Um,
I
Small
wish I could
town,
afford any of them.
right up
I'd take
through.
anything.
Um, Small town, and there's the small town secrets book, so I'm really not sure what to do about that one. People
Mm.
hissing through their teeth, eyeing things, gazes. I'm obsessed with eyes. Just, there you go.
There it
Just.
is.
Sigh and sighing, lean and leaning, swooping, which is my go-to for any time a person has a romantic feeling. I'm the worst.
Ted.
Morbid, and this is a book about murder, so that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny. Shuffle and shuffling, and the word ridiculous.
Oh, I like
So
that. That's funny. I do
called
the
out.
leans a lot. Um, yeah, it's but okay. I just like noticed that I had so many okays, and it's like my character's essentially like having a panic attack, so everyone's trying to like calm her down and be like it's okay. Um, and that's when I noticed it. But then I did a control F, and I was like, oh wow, it is here a lot of
It is
times.
fine.
That's and then I found a lot more fines too. So
Yes.
I'm just gonna, people are gonna say different things. It's fine.
Yeah. It,
There it is. Oh my god.
it's okay.
It's okay. It'll be fine. Yeah, I saw lots of discussion about sheets in the chat during the sprint. The coffee place out
Is that,
east.
oh yeah, I'm
I've
not
never
familiar
been.
with
I'm
it.
sure it's great.
Yeah. Must be a very specific part of the East because I don't know it.
I
I'm
feel like it's
technically
like
from the East Coast.
Philly,
That might be
maybe.
why.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, never spent any time there, so I haven't been. But people were talking about it, so it's a cult following.
All right.
How did you do? I
Um.
didn't even ask.
Oh no, I did like 10 pages. So
It's pretty good.
it's not for like line editing. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
terrible.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. You know, unless someone has like a really scintillating question, I say we jump into another sprint.
Yeah,
Who
the
am
15,
I?
it went by fast. Oh, I'm thinking of Wawa. You're correct, Susan.
Oh, so yeah, where's Sheets? We'd love to know.
I don't. Yeah, no idea. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it's still Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's just the other part. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, and
Sure.
yes, craftsman is an architectural style very common in California. They're the most adorable houses.
Mm-hmm.
You will recognize a lot of them from film and TV, which is probably why I have a soft spot for them, because a ton of shows film in places like Pasadena, which are
Mhm.
full of craftsmen. So like the house in Buffy was a craftsman, and I think that's part of my fondness because that's a real house in Southern California. So
I love that.
they're just adorable. I love all and like I watch all those renovation shows on Discovery and like sometimes the Craftsman's. They're just so pretty. Well, you can Google craftsmen, and then I will lovingly describe them in this book multiple times. My editor said maybe pull back on the architectural descriptions of houses. So I love them. So
It's I love architecture. Yeah, I just have like Spanish style in
we usually
mind.
go between 2 and 3 hours. I don't know how much we can take. And it also depends on how efficient we are, and we're going to try to be efficient.
That's true.
Yes. All right.
I'm just reading
Let's
the
jump
chat.
into another one, right?
Yeah.
Who
I feel like the
am
energy is definitely
I?
different at 8 p.m. than it is
It
at
is.
like
That's the thing. At
11.
8 p.m., I'm like, I don't know how much I can talk. This might be optimal for me. And I
Yeah.
usually work at night, which is another reason this is kind of fun to play with.
Mm. I was on not on it, but I was at a stream at like 6:37 this morning. Um, it was fun, but yeah,
Oh wait,
it's a
where do
lot.
I? Hmm.
But it's a tradition. I feel like Friday's the day that everyone's streaming on Fridays.
I didn't
It's your
realize.
day.
I actually normally take Friday nights off, but I took last night off, so I can't take tonight off. I can't lose
Mm.
my momentum. Like so, my editor said, let's try, please, 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 three pleases to get this to copy edits by the end of the month. So
And it is the 20th.
shh, shh, don't say that.
Is it how long is this month? Is this a 31 or
Well,
is
so
this a
in
30?
fairness, just judging how I know this is how TV works, I'm guessing publishing is the same, and even if it isn't, I'm going to ask for it. I'm taking Labor Day weekend. I'm
Oh,
taking
okay.
that weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
actually, I requested some time off. Such
Ooh,
a author with a day job thing to do. I'm using some of my vacation time to work on my other job.
nice. I didn't even
So
realize Labor Day was coming up so soon. I just had to go and
yep.
check when Labor Day was.
We'll do a since someone asked requested a longer one, we can do this 25-minute one.
Okay.
Let me skip
On
that.
the stream I was watching this morning, there was a 40-minute sprint, and they could not find a 40-minute timer, which you definitely could.
Really?
So they used a 40-minute hit workout video that had a little timer in the corner. And it was
Huh.
incredible. It like made my day.
All right. Okay, so I want to clarify. I can theoretically do it if it's the good, easy parts. The problem is, and my editor's aware of this, there's still chunks of this manuscript where I have not yet had a brilliant idea for how to fix a thing. So clock is ticking, kids. Like I have to be brilliant in a couple of spots for this manuscript soon. Why do I do
That's
this
what the
to
red
myself?
wine is for. That's creativity juice.
Is it?
I don't know.
Uh, let me put it this way: planning a break-in is really hard. That's all I'm gonna say.
So is someone breaking in to them, or is it like the
No,
protagonist breaking in to
they have to
investigate
get
something?
something from the school, and currently I did it the easy way,
Mm-hmm.
and the comment was that it felt a little pat, which means I have to make it harder, and I'm lazy. All right, let's sprint.
We will. We'll sprint.
All right, everyone, let's go. Yay.
It is nice that at the end it always says, "You did that."
Camille
It's
is very
encouraging.
encouraging. I like her timers. She's got one with rain sounds that I appreciate.
Ooh.
So,
It rained here the other
um,
day. So exciting.
nice. I'm jealous. I love rain. You must have gotten rain the day that it was gray here, like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's all blurring together. This week was crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
I love a good overcast day, so like
But
I
yeah.
like notice. I like living in LA for so many reasons, but I do not love the perpetual sunshine, which makes me a little odd.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but that's because I've like always lived here. So to me
Yeah,
it's
you're
I don't
just
know,
bored.
it's not. Yeah,
You don't
I'm
know what
like,
you're
"Oh,
missing, but
interesting weather."
I I know and I miss it. I did like 10 pages, but like that's not terrible. Line edits go fast. I'm on page 45 now, which isn't terrible. Oh,
That's good.
what
I
about
was
you?
gonna ask, like, what does when a professional is like line editing your stuff? This is like my question time, so I'm sorry to everyone in the chat. Like,
Yeah,
I'm going first with my question. What does that like look like? What's kind of the average? Like, how many line edits do you have per page? Like, is it every line? Is it like a few? Like, how does that work?
it varies widely and it depends on the editor. So, hold on. The chat will get a treat. I'm willing to briefly share my screen if I can get it to work.
Whoa.
Briefly. It's kind of scary, honestly.
You like
Let's
make sure
see.
no spoilers are on there, like nothing crazy. Wow,
Yeah, it's
what
kind
a
of
treat,
rough.
truly.
Well, that's the thing. I'm at a pretty innocuous part of the book that I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it matters. Let's see. I think.
I think did you make that video or am I thinking of someone else? I feel like it was you where you had like a little section of the IVs that you like line edited and showed.
Oh, that was I did it was like amateur writing mistakes or something, and I
Mm-hmm.
shared some specific. I did a paragraph from the IVs that I made bad, and then
Okay.
rewrote. That might be what you're thinking of. That sounds absolutely
I
terrible.
think that is what I'm thinking of.
But actually, what you give me ideas because now that the IVs is out, I could theoretically pull up the old version of that manuscript and like maybe ask Elizabeth if I can make a video sometime, like maybe go through some of the writing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I could even be really it'd be interesting to pull out my first draft. So just very briefly, okay, 1 second. Can you see this? So
Yeah.
okay, so this is where I am right now. So in this case, she took some copy I'd had in a previous version and she inserted it back in to create a transition. I'm accepting and rejecting her changes, so I just accept that. She's added in a line here to transition to something. It's just like changing this gerund, well, this like it's like little word things. I honestly accept almost everything because I'm rarely upset about the things she does. Like it's just like making things cleaner. This is another thing, like just she actually doesn't add lines this often. This is actually pretty rare. This particular section, it looks like my editor is doing a lot of writing. Like it's just like adding italics. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see
This
here.
is
Here's one.
so interesting. I am
It put
so happy I asked.
when she puts global check, it means this is a crutch. So
Oh.
morbid curiosity, and this is actually from Dev Edit Pass when she left this note, and so I've already responded to it once because we're going back and forth in the same thing. She leaves a nice comment. So this here, I have a thing about a pool. It's a stupid line. It's not even good, but she likes it for some reason, and so she'll leave me like a note. It's kind of nice, and then I have a little cliffhanger for this chapter. But it kind of looks like this. I've already worked through these pages, so they're all clean now. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some back and forth.
Wow, this
Um,
is so
I'm
so
gonna stop for a
interesting.
minute. I'll see if I can find another spot that is okay to
That
share.
was also like way more than I thought you were going to show us. When you were like, "Oh, a little bit," I was like, "Oh, it'll be a paragraph." No, you're like pages. I'm
I
like,
mean,
"Whoa."
it's a part of the book that it really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's an assembly transitioning into a micro cliffhanger. Um,
Okay.
no murder yet, because I got problems.
Yeah. Someone asked
Um,
what problem it is, or what program it is, which is
that's Microsoft Word.
Word. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, by and large, it's the standard in publishing. I bought a license when I sold my book. Like before that, like I had just been cheap for a while because like we all get that student license when we're students, and then we graduate and we're like, you want me to pay how much? But I sucked it up. So I think of it as like it's an expense I invest in regularly now that I get advances. So I just chalk it up because they all work in my Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And then especially once you get to copy edits are hyper specific. You have to do it has to be formatted in a specific way. They give you instructions. If you don't follow them, you can get in trouble, and it can mean that your page gets formatted wrong. And so it's easier
Scary.
in Word. And then same thing. This has caused some problems for me because I don't know if anyone else is a Windows 10 user, but a delightful thing with Adobe Acrobat is it just glitches out on Windows 10. This is a known thing that's apparently never going to be fixed. So when I do pass pages, it's kind of a nightmare um, because I have to uninstall Adobe Acrobat, reinstall it, open past pages, and then I cannot close that document or it will not open again. And I have to start over. I have to uninstall Adobe and reinstall it. It's an Adobe Acrobat problem. But I
That is
have to use Adobe
insane.
Acrobat because I have like open source. I use Foxit
Mm-hmm.
Reader. Doesn't work for past pages. I have to use Adobe Acrobat.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a Windows 10 thing. I've looked it up. It's a known issue that it'll just not open.
And they just
Yeah.
won't fix it.
And then just no one will fix it apparently.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, Word, it's just I've heard people who have Macs can kind of make pages do it at this
Mm-hmm.
like level. Like I imagine you could do dev and probably line with pages, but I don't know how Mac users deal with copy edits. I should probably ask them. But yeah, it's easier to use Microsoft Word.
Interesting. Yeah. And,
I'm trying
you
to
know,
see if
you
there's
can write it
another
off.
area. I don't mean to make my editor look like she adds a lot to my writing. She normally doesn't. Like she's not a heavy hand, but I do have to say, I think she's all like, "Oh, I'm not a writer," and I'm like, I don't believe you because her suggestions are usually really good, and
Mm-hmm.
she'll suggest something, and I'm like, "Oh, you make me sound so much better than I am as a writer. I'm gonna use your suggestion." I
But
do it to
that's
be
literally
frequent.
her job.
Well, it's mostly just what I love about an outside perspective, like genuinely. You can get this from anyone. You can get it from your CP or your agent, but then I'm getting it from my editor. They see the world differently, and every writer expresses things slightly differently. And so I love she'll be able to express an idea or add like some descriptive imagery that my brain will blank on. We know I have white room syndrome, but sometimes she has really good lines, and I'm like, I like that. Oh, I wonder if someone got shot. There's a police helicopter outside. Welcome to Hollywood. I'm not.
Oh,
That
God.
sounds funny, but it's actually true. When they start
Yeah.
circling, someone has a gun, someone got stabbed, or there's something going on Runyon Canyon. That's just what it's like living here. So,
Yeah.
oh, I'm starting to get the allergic reaction from the wine.
Oh, no. I had that. I was in my office one day and I had that helicopter thing, and we were on like a fairly high floor. And
Mm-hmm.
we looked out and we realized that it was Marine One, the president's helicopter, when it was, you know,
Oh,
the bad president
one of
that we
those
don't
times.
like. But, you know,
Um,
it was still like, oh, wow. It was kind of
huh.
scary.
Hollywood things. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone. Miranda and I realized that her job pre-pandemic, literally next to my house,
Within a
never
block.
realized with it I mentioned my coffee shop and she went wait, and we
Mm-hmm.
realized it's the same coffee shop. We never ran
It's
into each
wild.
other in all those years.
Yeah.
Ships
Crazy.
passing in the night. So some chatty things. So I thought about this, but I don't know if I'm ready to share. There are some good ones, but I haven't gone through them yet and like categorized them. But I love what Kate did, where she did an additional live stream to talk about more of them. So we might do
Yeah,
that
that
in the
was fun. I
future.
watched that.
I will also say some of them are so salty. I don't even think I can use them in a video. And I say no, that's saying with respect because I'd have to also comment,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some things I can neither agree with nor disagree with on the record.
Oh.
So
I
I'm
did not
loving
submit
it.
anything.
Is what I mean. Maybe you did submit something and you're lying, and
No, I
you
didn't.
submitted something really salty.
No, like I do not really particularly have like much salt. I have like one thing that I just don't like when people do the hard sell. Like that's really all. If you don't do the hard sell, like we're fine. I don't care. I don't like hate watch anyone. Like I don't know. My one thing that I like thought about maybe submitting, and then I was like, this doesn't even matter. It drives me insane when people upload a YouTube video in 60 frames per second. Who needs a YouTube video in 60 frames per second? Like, it's the tiniest thing, but it drives me
How
insane.
how can you tell? I'm like a
When
noob,
you,
I guess.
like, change the quality to a higher
Okay.
quality, um, if it's, like, above HD, it'll say, like, 1080p,
Oh, I
60
use
FPS or
I use the
something.
default. I use like 29 something, which is pretty standard.
Yeah, so sometimes people will only have their high quality video in, like, 60 frames per second. And then, like, because I hate 60 frames per second, I have to bump it down to a lower quality. And that was the only thing that I, like, almost submitted. I was like, no YouTube video needs to be
Yeah, no,
in
you're
60
weirdly
frames per second.
specific, which I appreciate about you, but I also don't understand. So here's a good question that we can talk about while I catch up with chat. Now that I've gone on and on and on, um, first or third person, do we have feelings?
I mean, I have feelings. I don't know which one's better. I don't even know which one I really prefer. What I'm working in right now is in first, but I originally wrote it in third and then had to, like, translate it over. I don't know if it made it any better, but it made me feel better about, like, being a little closer. I don't know, like it's easier to be a little closer, and it's also YA, so I feel like first makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I When I'm reading, I don't really mind either. Sometimes actually, like sometimes if I'm listening to an audiobook, because I listen to a lot of audiobooks, um, I get confused when it's in third person because it feels like it's
Oh,
that person's voice like talking to me. So, for example, when I was like listening to Red, White, and Royal Blue, the narrator kept saying Alex, but like in my mind, the voice
yeah.
was so specific that I was like, no, it's Alex talking. Like, why would Alex say his name? I don't know. It was a
Oh.
whole thing.
All right, I'm
That's
catching up
it.
with
Again,
chat.
so specific and so random, but that's my whole thing. I don't know if it doesn't it ends up being the same to me when I'm reading. And when I'm writing, I don't know. I just pick one and like do it. I don't know.
Okay, catching up with chat, and then I'm gonna say something about my opinions on first versus third. Um, because Google Docs doesn't work the same as Microsoft Word. You will bork all the formatting and your publisher will be mad with you. That's why you can't use Google Docs. Like you can't I used to use open what was it called? It was an open source like
Is it
copy
Open
of the
Office
Microsoft
or
Suite.
something?
Open Office. I used to use Open
Yeah.
Office, exactly. They just don't function the same, and the problem is they literally use this for formatting your book. Um,
It's just like I don't know, it's just a different tool. It'd be like, you're
yeah,
trying to
and it does suck because it is a real expense, and I know that that can represent a real problem, a barrier for people, and I do just feel fortunate that I was able to pick it up. Um, that I got enough of an advance where that was possible and it didn't represent a hardship for me. And it sucks because I know that's just not the case with everyone. I wish Microsoft Suite were less expensive. Let's yell at Bill Gates.
yeah.
But for
But there's
everything else, Google
also
Docs is great. It just I don't think you can use it for copy edits. So
do they have a like they have a subscription model one too, right? Like you can either buy it outright or you can buy the subscription.
I have the subscription. I think they make you do
Okay.
the subscription now.
Oh, okay.
Through Office 365, and it's a yearly charge. Yeah, so I do
Got it.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so it's on my tax spreadsheet, and I write it off every year.
Yeah, someone said that they were gonna switch, and I was like, well, I don't know if you need to switch until you actually
Oh
like
no,
have
yeah,
someone.
I literally
If you
didn't
have
do
one you
it.
like.
I didn't do it until like I received the first like file from a publisher. Like I held
Yeah.
out because I
Even
am.
Scrivener was like a thing when you actually like buy Scrivener. You're like, oh wow,
I
this is an
only got it because I
investment.
got the nano discount code years and
Mhm.
years ago.
You gotta.
Although the
I
thing is,
really like Scrivener, but I'm
yeah,
thinking the next time I'm actually drafting something, I might draft it in Google Docs because
yeah.
I'm thinking about drafting in a place where it's harder to immediately see the word count. Like I kind of want to do a draft where I just like don't know how many words I'm writing.
Oh, I like it. I'll say I'm finding I have to be a little more flexible
Mm-hmm.
now, because my editor does inline notes in Word for dev edits, as you saw. Like we've been going back and forth, so
Mm-hmm.
I had to do my dev edit in Word, and I usually edit in Scrivener. It just doesn't make sense with this back and forth process with my editor. It's
Yeah.
way more organic to stay in the Word doc, so I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, which is good for me. But every once in a while, when I need a split screen, I still use Scrivener, but it's been a interesting revision process for that reason.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It doesn't even like
Well, here's a good
the words are
question:
going to be the same anyway, but yeah.
what's a hard sell? And then Lexi, I do have opinions about first versus third. We'll talk about it. But what's a hard sell? You want to define that while I continue to catch up? I am so behind.
Sure. To me it's like when people say, you know, buy my book or like hear more about this in the thing that I'm selling to you. It's not even always books. Like it can be, I don't know, courses or
Anything.
things like that. Um, yeah, anything. I'm just like, I don't know, when people I'm a big like I don't know, it's hard to explain without being too like without people being like, "Oh, I know who you're talking about." But and there's not even really someone specific. It's just kind of a thing in general when people are you feel like they're only making this content to be able to sell you something when they're not like trying to help or something. That's kind of how I would define
Yeah.
hard sell. Like there's always a call to action at the end and
Or at
it
the
ends up
beginning.
being buy my
For me,
thing.
I think the thing that gets me that I'm just uncomfortable with, and in fairness, that's me personally,
Mm-hmm.
is when every single video, the first 30 seconds to minute or more of a video, in our case, in our space, that would be, I'm the author of blankety blank and blankety blank, which is blankety blank and blankety blank. It is an Amazon bestseller. You buy all the buy links are below. We're a beauty tuber. It could be like at the beginning of every single video, they're going on and on about like their new palette, or I mean, this isn't quite the same in terms of hard sell, but it could be people where it's like it's always about a sponsor, or it's always about courses, or it's always
Mm-hmm.
about like sponsors is a little different, but it's just like, well, or where the you can tell the point of every video is to sell something, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm. Which I like understand. Like get your
I get
coin.
it.
Like
It
I
just
can
feels
respect that.
I'm bad at it. So
Yeah.
I thought like I'll make video every once in a blue moon when I'm making a video that I think, oh, this is a little clickbaity. Maybe I should actually mention I write books, but I forget most of the time. Honestly, I'm like, go
Yeah.
figure it out. Who
Yeah.
cares?
I don't know. It's not something that I could do. Yeah. It's also like you said. It's not exclusive to like
It's across the
books and
board.
stuff
Like,
either. Yeah. Fully.
and some niches support hard selling more than others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like to use a YouTube skincare example. I don't really watch Hiram, but let's pretend I did. So I'm not saying Hiram has done anything. I literally don't know, but he has a skincare line now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hard sell would be if every single video, which I don't think he's doing this, would now becomes about his skincare. If he did that, that would be the hard sell, but I don't think he's doing that. But that's an example of a recent influencer brand launch. It would be like
Yeah.
if, and actually for a while she did do this, if Tati couldn't shut up about the vitamins in every single video. So
It's true. Yeah. Or you know, use
I love
code
you.
James for 10% off. You know, like that's the kind of thing. The skincare
But at
one
the
that
same
gets me
time,
is the
like
Susan Yara thing.
we do accept it more. Oh, that's not even a hard sell. That's just shady.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I guess it's yeah. And actually, that's YouTube. A great example is a hard sell would be is if your entire Twitter feed is buy my book, and you never tweet about
Mm-hmm.
anything else. So you're not a person. You're an advertiser. Um,
Yeah.
all right, we got some good opinions about first and third because I'm still
Good, because mine wasn't.
behind. I cannot connect to third person ever. I want to be in the character's head. I will say about this, some people write really close third and it's really good. And it's almost as good as first. And when I read books that are like that, I kind of note it down. And there have been a few thrillers that I thought nailed this, but it is true. It automatically adds distance. I think this is interesting. First person allows the author to feel closer to the protagonist, while third person is the one that allows the audience to feel closer to the protagonist. I think it differs. I think you feel pretty close to the protagonist in first. And I actually think you lose closeness to things outside the protagonist in first, or you can. I definitely struggle because of all the filtering that it can lend itself to. I struggle with that.
Yeah.
First or third depends on the story. I lean toward a very close third. That's my preferred. Like I prefer close third, and look at me never writing it because I write thrillers
Yeah.
and the YA retellings before it. You have to go with what feels right, and I keep writing genres where first person felt right.
Yeah.
It does present challenges though. Like half the time when I write, I honestly think I'm garbage. First person, like I'm like I filter like a mofo when I'm drafting. It's I mean you saw that on the crutch words. My editor was like feel. I'm like yeah, she says that a lot.
It's I don't know. It's I think it's just the way that we talk too, and like it ends up in there because of that.
Yep.
When I do third, it's always very like limited. I will say,
Yeah.
like I'm never, I don't know, like head hopping or anything, which you shouldn't really be
Um.
doing anyway. But
So this yeah,
yeah,
this is the reason I like third too. It's visual and cinematic. Um, I also appreciate that about third. I feel you can lend atmosphere to a story more easily. But it can sometimes be at the expense of other things.
mm-hmm.
So to Lexi's original question, well, I'll talk to you more about it later because I want to know more. It's going to depend. I will say, when in doubt, in YA, go first person. But if you're trying to be more upmarket, third might be the way to go. I think third can make something feel more upmarket than first. That's like a personal hot take. Because you can do more
Interesting.
description and you can do more atmosphere more easily. In my
That makes
personal opinion.
sense.
Oh, just back to like LibreOffice. I definitely used LibreOffice. There's OpenOffice and there's LibreOffice. Those are all great programs. I think a lot of things should be more open source. So
Yeah, just give everything away for free. I'm down.
yeah, that's fair. I actually, you'll laugh. Unless this was your comment, someone gave me a comment. I don't think it was your comment that they thought it was weird that my character knew so much about California architecture. And I'm like, I cheated. Shoot me. I want to talk about architecture.
Mm-hmm. Just make her like a Zillow person.
Right? She's an old soul in a young body, okay?
The old song in a
In
young body
fairness,
is like,
I've always been an architecture person because my
mm-hmm.
mom, her job when I was growing up, she worked for the American Institute of Architects.
Ooh.
So I've always like been surrounded by that stuff. That sounds so
Mm-hmm.
hoity-toity. Um, but like
I
I don't
mean,
like I'm not smart about it. I don't know a lot, but meaning I've always appreciated design, like architectural design and like clean lines and all that jazz. And I definitely have preferences. Like when I build houses in The Sims, they always look the same because I just gravitate toward the same style over and over again.
mm-hmm. Ugh,
I
my
love
house is in
vaulted
The
ceilings.
Sims.
There's a lot of
Exteriors in The
those.
Sims, not my thing. Can do an
Um,
interior,
we're
but
having a sale, and I bought some more packs. And I have been a very good person, and I have not played because I'm on deadline. So
that's good. That can be your deadline reward.
we'll see. I honestly will probably give in before then because I was waiting for Dream Home Decorator to go on sale because I refused to pay full price, and it finally did. So I bought it 20% off, and then I also picked up Nifty Knitting while I was at it because that was also one that, like, out of principle, I refused to pay full
Nifty. That's
price.
a. I'm. I'm not. I'm clearly not like paying enough attention to Sims. Like Nifty Knitting. They have a whole pack
Yeah,
for
it's a
knitting.
hot mess. But now, so Cottage Living has a crochet thing, and so I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I should probably get Nifty Knitting because it kind of will go well with Cottage Living. Cottage Living is a good expansion pack. I like it because it's
It
very
sounds
British.
nice.
Yeah, it has like farming, and you live in
Ooh.
a British village, and I like that a lot.
I just
So
that's my dream. So Yeah, I can definitely get behind that.
I'm still catching up in this chat, and we should sprint in a
I
second.
know.
How long of a sprint do we want to do, people? 15, 20, 25?
Let's see what the chat does. I'm actually, I don't know. I feel like it's nice, like the kind of editing that I'm doing. It's so easy to just like jump in and jump out.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
which when you're actually like drafting, it can be like, okay, I need 5 minutes to actually kind of like reread what I did and get back into the flow. But with what I'm doing now, it's like, wow, I can just jump in and change something and jump right back out. Ooh, big range. 2 15s and then a 30. 30 is a bit much.
30 is a bit much. It's 8:58.
I'm seeing a lot of 15s.
Okay, let's do 15. Let me pull it up. And if we want, we could always do another 15. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's it.
like I'm slightly overwhelmed by the idea of another 25.
Okay.
Hold on, it's playing an ad. I don't want to like show you the Kohl's ad that they just targeted to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna
You don't
catch
need
up
to
on the
give
chat
Coles
and we'll
the
talk more.
extra impressions on
Well,
Coles.
and then people know what Google's targeting to
Mm-hmm.
me. It's a little too intimate. I mean, y'all already know that they target Paul's Choice ads to me.
We
So,
got the
so
third
there was a
love.
bit before. There was like a bra ad for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right. Let's do this. Yay.
Yay. Okay. Oh, I was scared there for a second when there was like 30 seconds left and you were still gone. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to, tell everyone that that the sprint ended. And
I had
whatever's
to
next in your recommendations is gonna autoplay.
oh gosh. Yeah, I had to refresh my wine and feed the cat.
Mm,
So, yes, important
nice.
stuff. So briefly, another sprint happening tomorrow if people want. Then I love this question. I do want to talk about it. Um, Also, I'm peckish, so I grabbed olives. So now it's really a party. So I know you're
That's.
excited.
I mean, you're just having a whole night. Wine and olives is like it's a vibe.
Wine, olives, work. Who doesn't love it? Um, what advice would you give to someone who found the passion of writing in their mid 30s with no writing experience and who wants to be traditionally published? It's the same writing that advice that I would give to anyone. Um, Generally speaking, but with some specific things. Um, Read as much as humanly possible in whatever genre or category you want to be writing in as short a time as you can. Just like kind of, or you've already done decades of reading. Like if you've already read all and like you've got it, that's like, I just know personally what I decided in my mid 20s, like, I think I'm going to do the thing. And I just, for me, it happened to be that I needed to read voraciously for about 2 years to really fill the well before it started firing. But if you're firing already and you know what you want to do, I just find that helps because it means you hyper familiarize yourself with the current market, which is helpful no matter what. Um, and yeah, just the hardest thing generally, if you are have found your passion for writing at any time, is finishing your first book. It is the hardest thing you will ever do. But it's like magic. Once you do it, it all becomes easier and you can take all the other steps you have to take. So literally just do whatever it takes. Come to these sprints, watch this channel, be careful about joining Reddit, but I certainly did when I was trying to write a novel. Read craft books if that helps you. Try outlining if that helps you. Try pantsing if that helps. Like you're like right now you're in the mode of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So just do anything you need to do to finish your first draft. And then from there, it's just all the other stuff you got to do. Definitely get good CPs, critique partners who are writing in the same space that you are, and just kind of do the sweat work of revision, et cetera, et cetera, and go from there. Um, what's so funny, like it used to be the normal thing that people would be at least in their mid 30s before they wrote things that you would even endeavor to get published. And so you're fine. You're like now's the time. Do it. I think we have this. I mean, some of it's because it's true. At least in the space like YA, a lot of the authors are younger, but it's still really normal. Like you're not behind if you're really any age and you're trying to do this. Um, Yay. Let's see. Oh, the second half of the comment was you feel that because you just start writing when you were young, you're at a disadvantage. I'm sure you did some kind of writing when you were young. Don't worry, because honestly, the thing is, like, seriously, I didn't do long form fiction writing until I literally wrote my first book, and I was 29 when I finished that. Before that,
Yeah,
I did
same.
not write original fiction. I didn't even write short stories. I didn't write poetry. I mean, I did the stuff that you do in school. I wrote fanfic, and that's it. And then somehow one day I burped out a whole ass book. Um, I think that like you can actually like it's like that accumulation of like time and life experience and writing experience, even if it's not literally writing experience for writing novels, you're doing writing of some kind. Um, and you'd be amazed what you can do. You can come to writing without the benefit of that youth experience and be amazing. Um, whatever inspiration strikes.
And your brain is fully developed. I feel like that's helpful. You know.
Yeah, I saw. Okay, I'll share one unpopular opinion that I got from the thing that I did. Look, I get it because I know a young person left the comment, and I when I was young, I thought many things as well. The comment was that children should write children's books and young adults should write young adult literature, not adults. And it's just children can write for children and young adults can write young adult, but there's something about adult perspective and experience. It really does change the way that you see the world for better or for worse. And you obviously still have to be able to tap into something to write well for children and young adults. But there really is something magic in that. And not always, but I can often tell when I pick up a book if the author is over 30. There's like a je ne sais quoi. Doesn't always mean it's better, but there's a je ne sais quoi. It depends on what you want from a book, what genre a book is in, but there's like a, I don't know, and I have to say personally, not to be ageist, ageist, but I do personally think I'm a better writer as I'm getting older. Part of that's practice, but part of that is things like, honestly, like just like for me, the grief piece. I think my writing is a lot deeper than it used to be emotionally, and that's just because I couldn't tap into that in any real way before. And of course, you can experience that at any age. It's not necessarily about age. It's life experience. Whenever you have the life experience, it can impact your writing, whatever that life experience is. And maybe you have it when you're 16. Mind you, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25, and I do think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
But that said, have I had a book or two where I was like, oh, I bet like a woman in her 40s wrote this, and they were like 22? Yes, and those writers are amazing, and I love it when that happens. Like, there can be amazingness at all spectrums. And actually, like, seriously, I think one of the a YA book I still love, I should probably reread it. The Duff was written by a 16-year-old, and I'm still impressed by that book. So
It was? Wow.
yeah, she was in high school.
Crazy.
It's mind blowing. I cannot relate, but
No,
but again, I do
this,
think it depends on what you are writing, what you intend to write. But there's something beautiful to be said from what you get from both ends of the spectrum. But trust me, no, you do not want the majority of children's or young adult fiction written by children and young adults.
yeah, there's a reason that doesn't
It would be
happen.
unreadable. Bless them. That's why the exceptions are so great, because they're so talented, and you question everything about yourself. I know I do.
And the
Um,
kids have Wattpad.
and the kids have what, like, and also like, why, like, you don't have to publish professional.
Yeah.
Oh, did my internet connection just get all
Oh,
weird?
maybe. You froze for a second. Now you're back, I think.
All right, I'm so behind. Hold on, let's catch up. Let's try to catch up. All right, you've gotten 8 more subscribers since we started saying that you need more subscribers. So everyone go subscribe to Miranda.
It's so funny to me.
Both
I'm
Miranda,
like,
this is me emotionally blackmailing you into posting more videos.
no, it
I
is, but
enjoy
it's
your vlog.
also almost more like it almost makes me like, oh my god, scary. Like
It
it's
is
so many people, which
it
I
is
know you
scary,
laugh and you're
but
like, yeah, cute, it is. But to me, I'm like, oh god, do I want that? I don't know.
you should post more. I'll make you do it. Don't worry.
If I had the time. Or if I had like the things to say. I was talking to someone about this. I was like, there's only so many videos where I can be like, I'm at this desk, I'm on my computer, I'm probably wearing the same shirt that I was in my last one. Like,
I was about to say you could do other types of videos. I could inspire you. You want some unpopular writing opinions? I have an entire spreadsheet full of them. You
I
could
would,
do
oh my god,
reaction
I'd be
videos.
like, because I don't have the salt, like I wouldn't even have
That's,
good reactions.
you could do
Like,
nice reactions.
I'd be like, I see your point. However, the counterpoint is this, and everyone has their own. Yeah, no, I don't know. Ugh, it's a whole thing. I need more ideas, but I also am just like, it's
Well,
fine.
I will give you the advice, and this will work for anyone who's watching who also has an AuthorTube channel. And this was advice given to me. I won't say who it was, um, though I guess I don't think it really matters. It was Kim Chance. She's very nice. And like, so when I came in, obviously she was like a huge channel, and we met through debut. She was so gracious and wonderful. She was like, honestly, go to my video page, search by most watched, and make your own version of the top videos. She gave me that advice. And
It's
I don't know if
it
that's
makes
like for
sense.
like. I don't know if that exactly works anymore. because this was 2017, or I guess it was 2018 when she gave me that advice. So, but I started my channel in 2017. But like, meaning as long as you don't directly like steal someone's concept, like it's not nice to copy someone's video, but
Yeah.
it's fine to be inspired by a video, and if it's unique enough, give them credit. So for example, I don't have the energy to do this, so this is just an example. If I decided to write like X for a week, I would credit Kate Kavanaugh if I did that. Or honestly, I would ask her for permission. Like I asked her for permission to react to the unpopular opinions. And like you don't have to. If you don't know someone, you don't have to ask for permission as long as you're doing it as a reaction and you're crediting them. But I thought it was nice to ask. I wanted to make sure I wasn't like, I literally said to her, I have no desire to make anything. A basic reaction video would be great. Can I react to your video? I was so tapped for content, but it actually worked. I've had ideas and I filmed a couple videos. Yay!
Yeah.
So I
I
feel
don't
like I'm
know. I'm
back.
just like, it's not, I'm not like trying to have
I'll give you
like
ideas.
videos with a ton of views or something. I'm just like, I'm here. I'm just, this is what I'm doing. It's not, I
Why
don't
don't you
know.
do
I think
something like
that's,
your favorite YA thrillers or something like that's like bookish and topical that's kind of like adjacent to what you're writing?
yeah,
Because I would watch that. So,
I could
or your
definitely do
favorite
something
boarding
like
school
that.
books.
One idea that I did have that is just like, it's so much effort, so it would take a long time. I thought about doing like rereading all of my favorite books from like my childhood. Like, what was my favorite book when I was in first grade, second grade, third
Oh,
grade, like
do
keep going
it.
through. But that's so much. That's like such a big time commitment. And I'm just, I don't know. I don't know if I actually could. I feel like I need to read the current stuff that's like in, keep myself up on the market. Because even that stuff I feel like I'm always behind on. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that sounds fun. I've
It would
definitely
be
been
fun.
I've been afraid to read some of the ones that I loved when I was younger because
Oh,
I'm afraid they won't
totally.
be
Yeah.
good.
It was, I think it was inspired by, I was thinking about the books that I like used to read, and I was thinking about the first book that I realized the first book that I ever like heard about on YouTube and bought because I heard about it on YouTube. And I was like, oh my god, wow, that's wild. It was The Summer I Turned Pretty that I heard
Oh,
about in like 2009 or something. Like early, early.
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy that I like bought a book because I saw it on YouTube that far in the past.
The early days of book influencing.
Yeah. And she wasn't even like a book person. It was just like she put this book in her favorites video. And I bought it
Huh,
because it sounded good.
that's very cool.
2009, what a time. So simple.
I wasn't even watching YouTube in 2009, I don't think. I don't remember.
I think that's when I started. I think I Googled, like, how do you put on eyeliner? And then I was like, oh my god, there's a whole world of people on YouTube, like,
If
making
only
these
I had learned
videos.
how to put on eyeliner in 2009.
Yeah,
I didn't learn until
it's so
2018,
funny.
maybe
And
2019.
the funny thing to me back then too is probably in like 2011 I was like watching all of this YouTube and stuff and I was like, you know what? It's too late. Like, all the big people are the ones who started forever ago, like blah blah blah. And now that's such a funny thought to me because it's like imagine if someone, these people who started YouTube channels in 2011 or whatever it is, like that's such a big like time. I don't know. It's funny to
Yeah.
me to think back on now. How it was like, oh, YouTube's going away, and now here we are, literally 10 years later, and it's the biggest website, one of them.
Sorry, I'm multitasking, which is
All
incredibly
good.
rude. My
It's like
boss
I
yells
have
at me
not.
all the time when I drift off. He's like, "Are you multitasking?" I was like, "You want me to be efficient."
That's fine. I was just looking back at the comments because I realized that I had been
Yeah.
talking for a very long time without
No, I
without
like it when
looking
you
at
talk
them.
for a very long time. Oh, we have a request for a sprint, which is good.
Yeah, you guys, we should.
We should.
Live feels me about 2011. It's such a time.
Work is good. Okay, so what we'll do is we will do a sprint, and Kat, yours will be the first question we come back to when we come back, if that works for you.
I have so many thoughts on that. It's so hard.
See, that's good. Oh, and don't forget, I have to connect you with someone to CP.
I haven't forgotten.
She's revising right now. And I guess
Yeah.
that'll help answer the question. So I'm going to share
Mm-hmm.
this again. We're going to.
But not everyone has like an Alexa to
I
match
know,
make
I'm,
vows.
I'm a little intense. Okay. All right, let's sprint. I'm bad at this.
I was like, how do I gently like whisper that the timer ended? That's so funny.
Oh, we did it. We made it.
That one went by fast. I don't know.
It did. And actually got stuck because I've reached a part where I have to do more intensive work than accepting track changes and changing order too. So it's actually a good stopping point for me. So we can like chat a little more and then wrap it up because I think like my next like maybe when we're done, like I need more wine. That's all. No, I'm kidding. And it's like it's a scene where I knew that it wasn't working and my editor made some suggestions and they're like okay, but I definitely am gonna have to tweak them so it sounds more like me because it's like a character moment and like it has to feel me. Writing's hard. Anyway, I'm so sad. Like apparently YouTube failed at notifications and not everyone knew we were streaming. Hi.
What a surprise. I gotta say, you guys, go back and like watch this one through because Alexa showed like what her line edits look like from her editor. She like did a screen share and showed us. So you have to go back and watch the beginning. It's worth it.
Yeah, people will be pausing the screen to like
Oh, I will.
rip
I
apart
will
my
for sure.
writing. Rip apart my writing. It's fine. We're fine. I'm a mess. It's fine. We're fine. Okay, so how we got our CP/beta readers when we were getting off the ground.
It's a much more like recent getting off the ground for me. So maybe I'll start. I don't know.
Yeah.
Frankly, like I feel like any kind of writerly like friendship and stuff that I have is from YouTube, frankly. Like people that watch me, people I watch, etc. You just talk and then become friends. Go to people's streams, etc. And like that's where all the people that I've been able to like, rope in as CPs and betas, like that's where they've all come from. I think a good way to like start is people seek out people who are requesting CPs and betas and then be a good CP and beta for them. And then they will oftentimes, if they're a good person, offer to CP and beta your work as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the move. But I think I said this last time. Depending on your genre, it can be a little bit harder to find. I feel like in kind of the online spaces, it's often people like it's mostly YA that we're writing here. Most people
Yeah.
do like fantasy.
Yep.
So depending on your genre, it can be a little bit more tough. But that's my advice: is put yourself out there. Sorry, it sucks. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, and what's so hard about this question of giving advice is always that it's always changing. Like I feel like the best places to like find people is always evolving. So like in my day, back in my day, honestly, 2012, 2013, 2014 feels like the dark ages because so I used a blog to find CPs. I'm old. It's fine. Um, I've talked about it before. It's a blog that still exists. It's just not a blog I use anymore. Maybe aspiring writers still use it. It was Miss Snark's first victim, and she would do. She had like agent stuff too, and so like I participated in one of her agent contests as well. But she would also do occasional CP matching, and I matched with a couple of key people. Um, Only one of whom I'm like still CPs and friends with, but she's one of my closest CPs and friends. Like, and that was one place. Reddit is another place I found CPs, and that still exists, thank God. That still can be a good place to find good critique partners. I've done the Twitter DM slide in before. I I'm bold, and it's also it's trial and error and as you kind of advance, like honestly a lot of my current CPs, and this is why it's hard to like it's basically the advice is find community and find your betas there, because I've like when I joined a debut group got some new CPs that way. Through I've had new people to read my books. And actually like the funny thing now, because like so also in fairness I do have a distinction between CPs and betas kind of in the sense that um I don't reciprocate for everyone. There are actually several people in the early days where it's I read for them because I genuinely wanted to read their books. So Miranda's advice is great. Like see people where you actually genuinely want to read their book and hopefully have some good suggestions. Regardless of whether you get anything back, do it because you want to, but then hopefully a mutual relationship like happens. That's always good. Um, but like now I find a lot of the time like it's not mutual just because it's like shifts passing in the night and the timing doesn't work out. So I mostly just need people, I need readers, and I find them in a variety of places. So there are actually like AMM mentees who have beta read my book because I was like, do you just want to read a thriller and like tell me what's wrong with it? So
And
that's,
they're
I know
like,
that's a totally
yes.
different like level, but like so that's the thing. But my like core CPs, it was that blog, it was Reddit, some from Twitter. Yeah, yeah.
Just like
So
in the community, like
what
find,
wherever community is right now
yeah,
for your genre and your category, and author tube counts as a community. So
it does. Yeah. Have you ever thought about kind of, I'm sure you wouldn't do this now because it would be a lot, but like integrating a kind of like CP match
oh god,
into
I
author
could, but even
mentor
thinking
match?
about that is well that actually exists. I thought you were gonna say YouTube, and I'm like I'm
Oh,
tired.
no, no, no.
We haven't done it in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
before each of the last two rounds, we did one on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and generally, whether you're applying to author mentor match or not, join the community. There are hashtags on Twitter. There are Facebook groups. Um, because that is a great place to find critique partners, period, regardless of whether you ever submit to AMM.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of, and I mean, by a similar token, I assume pitch wars hopefuls have very similar groups. Same thing. Anything where you find authors who are clearly serious enough about traditional publishing. Actually, even if you're self-publishing, this can be a great place to find serious writers. It doesn't matter. Just those contests tend to have people who mentorships tend to have people aiming for traditional publishing, um, where they're at a serious enough level, and you know they have to have a book to enter those things. So you can
Mm-hmm.
find great matches who are kind of at the same stage as you are or level, um, to talk with and be friends with and exchange manuscripts with. So
Yeah.
it is hard though. It's a trial and error, and I like, you know, I think of CPs. CPs are like any friend or relationship. Sometimes it's perfect for the moment, but that doesn't mean it has to last. And just because it doesn't last doesn't mean you didn't enjoy the good times you had together. So meaning I I only have one of my original CPs anymore, but honestly that's simply because the other ones don't write anymore. And that'll
Mm-hmm.
happen. So there's always going to be an ebb and a flow and kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It happens.
Or also just the
Wallace.
things you write change. I was writing fantasy at the time. I don't do that anymore. So fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
I had to definitely to find new CPs when I switched to thrillers. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Wallace had a question about the Worldwide Write-a-thon and if we were going to participate. I didn't sign up for a host spot, but I am more than happy to participate as a co-host and in the chat and stuff. But she's right; it is a good place to meet other
that's a good place to
writers and
find
stuff.
people. Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Miranda.
Um, Look, Vesha, it's coming. It's coming. She's one of the people who read my query. I keep calling it like a blurb. It's a query. Let's be real.
Just literally everything I do is digital. I don't do anything in person. So COVID changed nothing.
Same.
Online groups are fantastic. I know people do in person ones. I've always been way too intimidating to go meet people in person. So
Yeah, scary.
right. Oh.
I'm sure it exists, but I don't know.
This is a great question. So originally for me, it was the YA writer subreddit, which theoretically I'm a mod of, but like I don't do anything, and it's kind of like it's not dead, but it's kind of a dormant sub. Like it still has people, but it's not as active as it used to be because in the best possible way, we all got book deals and got too busy to mod the subreddit. Sorry. So another like a great one is pub tips. Pub
Mm-hmm.
tips is for people pursuing traditional publishing for the most part. There's a lot of query critique there, so great place for query critique. But via that, you can definitely find critique partners because anyone posting on pub tips is like pursuing it. Our writing is a little more hit or miss. That's kind of a cesspool. I throw shade at our writing all the time in videos. I I had someone comment on my harsh writing advice this week saying, "What's like why do you say so much about Reddit?" And I'm like, "Because I'm on Reddit." Also, that video is like 3 years old, which is people still watch it, obviously. But I'm like, because Reddit's ridiculous. Reddit is like the number one place where people say on a regular basis, at least once a day, you don't have to read to write books, and it's like the flames just like lick up the side of my face. There are genre specific subreddits. Our fantasy is a very active subreddit. There are self publishing subreddits. I don't know if that's like the place to find a CP, but definitely r/self published. Great place for self publishing advice. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones that like I know of and or use. So
Yeah. And the thing that I would suggest is like make sure you go and read the things that other people are putting up too. I feel like it can be, it's like it's much easier to just, you think like, oh, I'll put mine up and then people will come to me. That doesn't always happen. So like go and read everyone else's and like see
I
if you find
initiated
people
a
that you vibe
vast
with. Yeah.
yeah, I initiated the vast majority of my CP relationships because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I will slide right in there. I'll be like, hey, I want to
Yeah.
read your book. That's always how it started. I want to read your book.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I'm bad at the DM slide in. It's not
it is
it's not my
scary. I don't know if I would do it now. I just had this
mm-hmm.
bold period of my life where I had no shame. I got shot down once or twice, I will say, including by one person who I'm now friendly with. She probably doesn't even remember. It was ages ago. Yeah.
Wow.
She doesn't
But yeah,
remember.
I realized when I made like the thesis of what I said be like put yourself out there, I was like, yeah, but also like look at other people who are putting themselves out there and to like do the initiating too. It's important.
Yeah, you don't need friends like that. I'm kidding. And so to clarify with this whole thing with my salt, like I feel like I've clarified this before, but it comes up a lot. There are a couple anonymous opinions, unpopular opinions submitted about this one. It's not about like if you don't read a million books, you can't write books. There are lots of reasons that lots of people, including those who have ADHD or neurodivergent or dyslexic, etc., can't read a ton of books. But you've read books. You've read them. Like you know what a
Mm-hmm.
book is. You have read, I presume, because you want to write them. That's it. That's all you need. That's not what upsets me and other people. There are literally people who exist who are on Reddit who legitimately think you can hate books and have never read a book for pleasure, but write books. And I'm
Why
just
would you
telling
want
you,
to? It just
they're
doesn't make
not. Why
sense to
would you
me.
want to? And they're not going to be good.
No.
You just have to consume books in some format that works for you. Audiobook, um, large print, short books, genre
Mm-hmm.
specific books. It doesn't it like and it doesn't have to be 100 books. If you read just 5 books a year that are relevant to whatever you're writing, you're good because you're up on the market. You understand the current or heck, three. Read 3 books a year in the space in which you want to write, and you're doing better than most people on Reddit. That's all. Yeah, yeah, that's
And
all.
is that your
And
barometer? You just want to be doing better than most people on Reddit?
yeah,
Okay.
most people on Reddit who claim you don't have to read to write.
Okay.
People on Reddit read, but no, it's just that's it. And also like I go through massive reading slumps. It's not like oh I read like constantly. I mean, I read a decent amount, but I when I'm reading nonfiction, that's not theoretically technically helping me write fiction, but I'm still reading.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I go through massive reading slumps, and it's totally okay as long as in like the last like 5 years you've read a handful of books. You're okay, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. But if you haven't read a book in 20 years, you're not going to be able to write a book that now that fits any market. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
Books are
That's
hard
it.
anyway. It's fine.
I read more than 3 books in the genre a year, but I do feel like I don't read enough.
I
But
also feel like I
that's
don't read enough, but there's only so much you can do. I'm perpetually behind on YA specifically. It's
mm,
just well, because also honest, because this is the other thing. It's very normal when you're writing to hit reading slumps. I hit reading slumps constantly when I'm actively working on books. Um,
yeah.
so I'm just constantly behind. Like I just recently got off a line of I could only read nonfiction for like the last couple months. I'm
I was just
so
thinking that. I was like, we haven't had a reading wrap up from
you have
books
not
in
seen
a
a reading wrap
while.
up because I have only managed to read I think 6 books. Maybe I finally got to 7, and they're almost all nonfiction, which is great for me. Not helpful for blurb requests or staying up on my genre. There are books I genuinely want to read that came out this summer that I haven't read yet,
Yeah.
including That Weekend by Kara Thomas, who I adore. But I'm like saving that for when I'm done with this stupid revision. Like I want to pleasure read that book, you know?
Yeah. I also have books that are literally behind me that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to be able to dive into that when I finish the staying at it that I'm working on over here. God.
Um,
Oh,
do I prefer fiction or
books.
nonfiction? That's like choosing between your children. Kind of. I love them both. I mean, for entertainment, I gravitate slightly more toward fiction because most of us do. But God, I love nonfiction. Like a
Mm-hmm.
good, juicy nonfiction. Just it's like feeding my brain. Because I was a nerd. I loved school, and so it's like my like tiny way of like feeling like challenging my brain synapses a bit. Same reason I watch documentaries. Sometimes I want to like exercise my muscle a bit because I feel like I've lost a lot. I used to be smarter.
I like that's. I mean, it's fine. Like you're writing books, you could be a lot dumber. Like let's be real.
I could be
It could
dumber,
have
but
gone a lot more.
I could be smarter. Like
Yeah.
let's put it this way: I could not go to grad school like tomorrow. I don't feel I'm mentally sharp enough. Well, not mentally sharp. Like I feel like I've lost a lot of my academic
Mm-hmm.
skills. They're just honestly, I love not having homework so much.
Oh my god, it's so
One
nice.
of my
But then
favorite
like
things about being an adult.
I only started really writing like after I was done with school, and I realized like, oh my god, I hated homework while I was in school, and now I've just given myself homework for like the rest of time.
Yeah.
Now all my
Well,
work is homework.
people really want to know what nonfiction I read. It's in my wrap ups.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, I every once in a while I will read history. If it's of a really interesting figure, so like I read a book on Catherine the Great because I find that kind of stuff really interesting. But a lot of memoirs. I love a good celebrity memoir. Like I love old Hollywood. I'm reading one on Marilyn Monroe right now.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, and I just finished a book by Brooke Shields. And then I read a lot of narrative nonfiction about things that I find interesting. So my next wrap up, this is your preview. I mean, it's on Goodreads. I've posted Goodreads reviews of these books. I read Empire of Pain about the Sacklers and OxyContin. It was really good. I read Radium Girls, a little behind the 8 ball on that one. And then immediately I read her next book, which is super good and everyone should get it. The Woman They Could Not Silence, about a historical figure I had no clue about, and I don't think anyone else did. She was committed by her husband to an insane asylum in 1860 for being opinionated and talking too much and disagreeing with him on religion and slavery. And so he had her committed as insane, and she had to fight to get out of an insane asylum and became an activist for changing the laws of women as their husband's property because men could have their wives committed literally for talking too much. That was
Wow.
considered insanity for women. It is a fascinating, basically feminist history of. It was really depressing, but really good, and it's written cinematically. It was excellent by Kate Moore. Super, super good. In the past, I read one that I gave 5 stars to about a nightclub fire in Providence. I read Bad Blood about Theranos. Like I love books about corporate sociopathy, like flat out. That was Bad Blood. That's Empire of Pain. I
Did you
like
read
that
Catch
kind of
and
stuff.
Kill?
No, but that sounds great.
No, it's the Ronan Farrow book.
Oh, I should, because that is
Yeah,
right up my alley. And so that's the
you
kind of
should.
stuff I
It was
like.
good. I liked it.
I like nonfiction written by really talented journalists who do research, but then they write really vividly and they like capture a moment and a
Yeah.
subject. I
Then
love
it's
that kind of
weird that
stuff.
you haven't read Catch and Kill.
I know, I'm a bad person. I'm
You should
fine.
add it in. There you go. And it's a good audiobook too, because he does the audiobook.
Oh. I listened to my first audiobook recently.
Your first audiobook?
ever.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I
Wow.
know.
Okay.
Because I'm so like I either read physical books or I read on Kindle. I'm like so.
Hmm.
I will say it was a mixed bag. I definitely had moments where I like started falling asleep and I missed part of the book. And I had to go
Oh.
back. Well, and I got to the end of the book and I'm like, was the book bad or was can I not pay attention to an audiobook? And I think it falls in the middle. It was The Maidens and I had very mixed opinions about it.
Okay.
It's a very
So,
polarizing book,
is that the only audiobook that you've read, or
literally
have you...
ever.
Okay.
Yes. I got it from
I,
NetGalley. It was an experiment for me.
I have read more of your books on audiobooks than you have read on audiobooks total.
I thought, yeah. Did you do the Ivies on
It's
audio?
hilarious. No, I read that one in actual print, but I did
That's the one
Stars We Steal and...
I picked out the reader and I'm just very
Okay.
happy about that. I didn't get to pick on the other ones, so they did a
I'll listen to the
wonderful job
preview.
picking.
They
So
did.
yeah. The first one, like when I heard it, I was like, good job. You did
Mm-hmm.
your job. I've never heard my second audiobook. That's not
I
good.
do. It was
And
great. I
actually
have...
I'm remembering I've never gotten a copy of the Ivies either, and they were definitely supposed to give me one. No, what is
So you can request
publishing?
those.
This is
No.
late night wine talking, y'all. You're hearing like honestly with publishing, every once in a while I just go, oh, they never gave that to me, or I never
Mm-hmm.
asked about that. Because you just move
Yeah.
forward and you write another book and you're like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah. The one thing about the Stars We Steal was, I noticed this because I think you like posted a fan art or something, and I realized there were two names that sounded really similar, and I was
Oh,
having trouble distinguishing who was... It was like Clara and what's the other one? But then when I
Karina.
looked at it, I was like, oh, one's with a C and one's with a K. So if I was
Yeah.
physically like reading this, I would have been able to tell. But they
And how do
sounded
they
so
pronounce
similar
it?
to
Because
me.
I've never listened to it. Because pronunciation, whether they say Clara or Clara, can also make difference.
I think it was Clara.
That's how I pronounce it. So,
Okay.
because
Then
she's
yeah.
Swedish.
But
So,
they sounded similar, and so every once in a while I was like, wait, which one are we
ah,
talking about? Hold on. But
okay.
I wouldn't have
I see
had that
that.
if I was actually
How was
reading
their
it.
German, if you
Good.
can tell?
I mean, I
I
don't really know the difference between good and bad German, but
I literally
it's
sent
good.
them audio notes of me reading the German
Oh,
lines
that's
from the
so
book
funny.
with apologies. I was like, I'm so sorry I wrote part of this in German. This is how you say it.
That's hilarious. I love that. But that's a good... It's a good watch out, because that's something... I mean, I always think about like, oh, you gotta make sure that like these characters, their names don't start with the same letter, or people get
I
confused.
I had to change
But
a
the sounds too.
character on this current book for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Kylie, and it was way too close to Natalie. Kylie and
Oh,
Natalie, i.e.,
interesting.
endings, both of them,
Mm-hmm.
close friends look alike. And someone
Mm.
was like, and so I changed Kylie's name. So yeah, which was a good change. I was like, yeah, this feels better. She needed a much more plain name because she's anyway. It's a whole thing. Um, oh, and someone that should get into true crime nonfiction. I also read a lot of true crime. I forgot about that. Um,
Mm.
if Amazon's like Canal Unlimited has like a really like good like and then she disappeared kind of book, I'll read it. I read a really good one last year called If You Tell by Greg Olson. It's on Amazon. It should be on Kindle Unlimited. It's definitely an Amazon book. It's about it. Well, I went in unspoiled and it was worth it. It's about two daughters of a mother who was a sociopath, and it was really good. It's like a real woman who stuff happened in Oregon. I think it was Oregon, and shit got
It's always
real. And I
Oregon.
went in not knowing anything, and it was pretty shocking. But it's a
What
very
is it
gross
called?
book, though. If you
What's
tell,
gross?
meaning I can tell you later why it's gross, but like
Okay.
the
Hmm.
the things that were done to people were terrible.
Okay. Okay.
Ooh, yes, I am. Tell me what the book is because I've watched both of the documentaries about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just fascinated by like really charismatic people who accumulate a lot of power and do bad things um, in real life.
I'm just reading the comments.
Uh, any tips for writing when you're exhausted? honestly, when that happens to me, I don't write.
Yeah,
What
same.
sucks is when work is really bad, it just saps all the bandwidth and you can't write. When I have a really busy season in work, I can't work on books. Now, the other advice is when you have no choice, because that does happen when you're on deadline. But if you're not and you have a choice, don't overly push yourself. Um, well, what I've done, uh, bare minimum, like 500 words, like the bare minimum I forced myself to do. Two, you get extensions from your publisher and you are perpetually behind and late. Like, it's a mess.
Options. I have a
It's a
third
mess.
option that it makes sense you wouldn't have thought of this. Mine is get up and do it before work. Sorry,
I,
it's not, some people can, some people can't. I also say it depends on what like part you're at because during a time when I was like drafting, I think it was like a nano month or something, I started doing speech to text and just would talk and like get my words that way. And wrote like a good amount of my book and in time that like I would not have done it otherwise. I think Michelle Schusterman has some good like tips on
I
that.
admire people who can do that. I'm too
Yeah,
weak.
it's hard. I had to like quickly kind of talk through like everything that was going to happen. And then I would talk through it again and like fill in kind of the details, and that was the only way that I could do it because otherwise I would think about like what actually needed to happen more than how to do it. But yeah, it was very helpful for the time that I needed it, but I don't know if I'm gonna go back to doing that again.
Hmm.
Good for zero drafting.
This is the WeWork book, y'all. I'm definitely going to check this out. I'm just fascinated by those kind of magnetic personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I
I
think.
watched both the Firefest docs, including, I like the one on Hulu so much. I watched it again like a week ago.
Wow.
Because, like, well, I mean, I like the one on Hulu because I don't know, like, I just like the approach of it. Anyway, they're both very good. And it
Yeah.
made fun of influencers, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. There's everything is making fun of influencers, but I get it. I understand, and they're easily made funnable. That's not a way to say this. It's getting too late. Saying things like made funnable. Oh God. I will say to Emily, who says dictation writing is so impressive. It's not when the dictation's not that good. Like the words are not good, but they exist, and sometimes you just have to tell yourself the story.
Oh, if only you guys could see. I have all three cats on the couch. This is really good.
Living the dream.
Someone asked about more sprints. I can't manage another sprint. My eyes are
Yeah.
hurting. I'm so tired. I kind of hit a wall stopping point where I am in the manuscript, and I have to give my cat his pills because he's
No.
old. Um, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Someone said earlier that they were sprinting tomorrow.
Yes, I
I
put that
don't
up on the
remember who that
screen
was.
briefly. I'm blanking on the name. Like writing to revise, or there was revise in the name.
Yeah, it's
So
something like that. I'm hoping that they will pop back in the chat
yes.
and say, but you know, search writing sprints, you'll be able to find some. My
All
trick
right.
is sometimes I'll rewatch writing sprints and I fast forward the talking part and then make the sprinting part longer
Yeah. Yeah, I
using
mean,
the
these
time.
do get decent rewatch. Like people actually watch these after they're done. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so go back to the beginning and pull out one of our other sprints, and it'll be just like you're sprinting with me.
Unless
I'm
you've watched all of them, in which case, thank
yeah.
you.
All right, so let's call it a night because like literally my eyes hurt, which
Yeah.
that's not great. Eye strain. So oh, the cats are so cute. They're right here and you can't see them, and I know that's really cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I won't adjust the camera because then you'll see how dirty my apartment is. So everyone have a
Strategic
you're up by
angles.
21 subscribers, Miranda. You have to post more videos.
Stop. So, I'll try. I'll do my
This is
best.
your hype train. Okay. Everyone have a lovely evening or day wherever you are. Have a good weekend. I mean, I'm going to continue working this weekend. Maybe if I'm feeling real wild, though, there will be another stream this weekend, but I make no promises. But
Mm-hmm.
I will be working anyway. So
There's never any promises. We've done this like weeks in a row.
I'm very
Never
bad
any
at.
promises.
I literally messaged you like a few hours ago, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
eh.
And I was
All
like,
right.
yeah, sure.
All right. Bye, everyone.